Hi everyone, welcome back here again at Third Party and Supply Chain Cybersecurity Summit. We're here in Amsterdam. We're just finishing our first day of the event. I'm Firoz from GR Global Group. Joining us here, Anne Klebsch, and is Director of International Customer Success in SecurityScorecard.
Correct,
yeah?
yes, exactly, yeah. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you here now. And you actually hosted one of the roundtable discussion, and I must say it is very interesting, and it was like a lot of great inputs, and it was a very complex topic actually you chose. We will get more into that, but before we go into that, if you just let us know a little bit more about SecurityScorecard and your role in the company.
Yeah, absolutely. So SecurityScorecard is a rating company, right? You know credit card ratings? Mm-hmm. We do that for security. And the benefit is that companies can look at their own rating or that of their business partners, their vendors, their suppliers, and instantly know what's the posture, what's the high risks. Yep. And we constantly rate more than 12 million different companies. Yep. We update every day. And that's the first line of insight that companies can use to assess security. Now, my role is customer success. So that means I help our customers to optimally use the data they can find in our platform. What does it mean? How do they interpret that? How do they use it for their decision making, for their reporting to the board? And how can they optimize their processes? I used to be an IT auditor, so I've seen all the other things. I've seen the consulting, and I'm bringing this knowledge now to help companies get that end-to-end picture for third-party risk.
Exactly. Excellent. That's amazing. Actually, referring back to the topic you chose for the roundtable discussion, I have the topic here. It is stages in a vendor lifecycle and how vendor assessment and risk management may look different during procurement, ongoing operation, and offboarding of a vendor. So I must say it is a very complex issue to talk about, very complex topic to talk about, and I can see there was a lot of insights during the discussion. May I ask you, why did you choose this topic in particular?
Yeah, why did I choose it is because I find that in the past, we looked at vendor risk assessments during contracting. That's where it came from. And then when something went wrong, occasionally. Then we moved into, some recurring activities. But what I really want with customers to talk about is, a vendor, you're not just doing the assessment once, but you do it on procurement with a certain expectations. You work with those vendors for 5 years. You learn things change. Shouldn't you also change how you treat vendors, how you do your risk assessment with the vendors? And sometimes relationships come to an end. The same is true with vendors. Yeah. Sometimes you need to end a contract, you need to go to offboarding. What does that mean for third-party risk management?
Exactly, and during after the discussion, you mentioned that for the offboarding, we are doing well, but we can still improve it. What do you think, so?
So I think that was something we discussed with the group. Yeah. And everybody was like, yes, offboarding, it's important. And I'm like, okay, so what are we doing? And we went with everybody's experience, and it was just, we have contract clauses. Mm-hmm. But we don't really want to talk about how these contract clauses would be applied when we do the contracting, because it's weird when you're just starting a relationship to talk about the end.
Yeah,
doesn't feel right.
Totally makes sense. Yeah.
And then when things are ending, usually there's no more interest from both parties. You just want to get it over with. Yep. So then trying to find what's the right processes, what's the assessment, what data do you need back, what access do you need back. It's a bit too late, right? You just want, and also the vendors, understandably, just want to get out of it if it's over. So.
And do you think when the situation of offboarding happens, we get into a little bit of a rush? I know it's a complex process. You have to transfer the whole knowledge. There will be a lot of knowledge transfers, a lot of risk involved, and you have to evaluate all of them. But sometimes it happens when they're in a process of offboarding and they maybe have to start their journey with a new company or new vendor. They're just rushing it a little bit more, It increases the risk, isn't it?
It does, right? And that's where business wants to get the most value until the last day that they paid. So they're like, no, we need to do knowledge transfer, we need to remove access.
Exactly.
But only on the last day. We're not doing it a month and ahead and then pay for nothing.
Exactly, yeah.
But at the same time, if we then on the last 5 minutes are like, oh, by the way, what systems do we need to remove access from?
Yeah.
It may not be enough time to get things done.
I couldn't agree more. But I had the opportunity to work both as a solution provider and also as an end user. So I experienced like the both side of the have been on both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
So I saw actually during the your roundtable discussion, a lot of great insight, very compelling opinions are coming up, a lot of good inputs are there, great inputs are there. Is there a particular you would like to talk about?
So one, the offboarding was a great piece.
Yep.
Now that we talked about that, the other thing that was a great discussion was there was two phrases that came up a lot. One was continuous monitoring and one was due diligence.
Yep.
And how are they different? And when do you should apply what? Due diligence we have to do when we're contracting a new company. There's a lot of regulations that require due diligence, and it gives us a lot of insights.
Yep.
But we also recognized you can't do a full-on due diligence assessment every day, every week. You're just either going to burn yourself out or you're going to get desanitized, nothing's happening. So how do you do the continuous monitoring bit in between? How do you stay up to date with less effort and just know when is something happening, what's the key information driver that's happening? You can't always rely on your partners to tell you. They may not know themselves, or it may take a long time until it reaches you, until it went to order premium. And they may not have always the conscious or unconscious understanding that they should tell you about this. They're like, no, we're in control, no need to tell. But as the one that's receiving it, we of course want to maybe know about the change, right? One example is patching.
Yep.
Everyone will say patching is important, and we need to know that patches are applied. And most companies you meet will say we have a patching policy, we execute patching timely. But sometimes you can't, or sometimes it does get delayed.
Yep.
The receivers want to know about that as soon as possible.
Yep.
The ones that are outstanding on it, they're probably like, no, it's not a big problem, let me handle it. So.
No, that's excellent, what you said, just extremely intriguing, that answer is. My final question to you, actually, so I have seen you worked as an auditor, as a third-party risk management consultant, as a subject matter expert advising organization, on vendor risk management. And what are some common pitfalls you observe organizations make when they're trying to match with their vendor risk management, or when they're trying to, what are the trends, let's say, they should look forward to, watch out for?
Yeah. So one of the common pitfalls that I see is that, especially early on in the maturity, companies put effort in the same few vendors that they perceive as critical, the same few business partners, and they're like, not really looking at the full picture. They're like, we know these are my 5 most critical, and they will get deeper and deeper and deeper in understanding that. But there may be a lot of other things they just don't see and don't have time to get around with.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's some exceptional insight from you. That's all from me. Are you here tomorrow as well?
Of course. So, absolutely.
We'll catch up more tomorrow. Thanks for being with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.